is Dr. Mo, former student here at Orange.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
He never took AP Psych, but I take offense to that. He wishes he would have.
Yes.
Right? He wishes he would have. So he was a student back in 2016. He graduated, and now he works at a, what would you call it, Neuro Research Center.
So the term is neuromodulation or neuroscience.
So I figured, like, especially Ethan's gonna love this presentation. But it's good. And again, there's gonna be a form at the very end that you'll fill out that you'll get some credit for as well. But if you have any questions at the end, I know Bo will have some time to answer your questions in the last like 10 minutes. All yours, buddy.
So, like Mr. Troy just said, my name is Mohammed Abouelsoud. I studied computational neuroscience and physics at the Hasi University for a few years. And I took a pause, it's going in my third year, to start this company with a few physicians and a few engineers. And so what we do is we build devices for Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease and a wide variety of disorders with the brain. So these devices send electrical pulses into specific regions of the brain that are not activated properly for the disease, so we can reactivate them. Okay? And we're very excited about our work. You guys will see it more in the years ahead. What's most important, though, what I'm very, very passionate about, is going back to high schools, middle schools, and teaching them about the developing brain, how the brain develops. So I'm 24, so I graduated 6 years ago, and I wish I had this information 6 years ago. I did not. So I'm here to tell you guys about how your brain grows and how it develops into 10 years ahead. All right? So let's get started. We have our first amazing Stumpy and Bark. Can you guys guess which one Stumpy is?
The right.
Everybody says the right. Yeah, there's something with it. I think it's like a stump.
It just looks like
Stump means flat, and flat means stumpy. Bark is, either way, Stumpy and Bark. Stumpy and Bark are best friends. They do everything in high school together. They go to class together, they do track together, they go to events together, parties, everything in high school. And they went through lots of trials and tribulations, went through a very complex fence until finally Stumpy and Bark graduated high school and they're off. They're done. They went to finally accomplish, they got to university, correct? Next part of their lives, right? But we have two different personalities for Stumpy and Bark. Bark said, I'm at university and I don't have teachers or parents kind of telling me and guiding me what to do anymore. Let me do whatever. I'm free. I'm finally a free person. I'm off. I can do whatever I want. I'm happy. I already accomplished the hard part, which is getting to university. Bye. And then we have Stumpy. Stumpy says, well, I don't have parents or teachers telling me to study, telling me to do a test, telling me to go to class, but I have to be my own parent. I have to build that mind and discipline for myself. And I have to establish myself. Just because I finally made it to university doesn't mean I stop, right? What happened? Well, they both went through the high school, easy, they got it, that's the easy part. But when you guys get to 18, 20, 24, 22, 24, you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, wow, you know what the most important part really was? What did I do after? Okay, when I finally am independent. And you guys don't know this now, but later you will. You really will. So, why am I saying this? A lot of times we say that our brain is like a computer, right? Programmable, zeros and ones. In reality, the brain, the physics of the brain, is more like a tree. There are more principles with a tree than there is with a computer. Okay, that's the proper analogy, that the brain is a tree. Your brain is a tree. And when we study how trees grow, we also study how brains grow. If I understand how a tree grows, I understand how a brain grows. So how do trees grow? Okay? So if you guys see all this, tree, that's the brain right there. You guys neurons and synapses, right? And river, and then the veins and arteries in the lungs. You guys all follow a similar pattern, correct? When you have a droplet on a canyon or a mountain, that droplet will follow the path of the mountain. And the mountain tells it to move this way, it tells it to move that way. If you have a tree, and you have a fence, The tree will move with the fence, right? It will move with the holes of the fence and twist and the vines around the building, right? Great, awesome. So this is something called the constructional law, which is how you grow is based upon how you flow. Now, what is the canyon or the mountain of the brain? What is the fence of the brain? Do you guys know? What is the fence of the brain? What do we flow through?
Right?
Synapses.
Like neurons?
The brain is flowing. It's growing like a tree. The tree is going through the atmosphere, and it guides by the fences and what's around it. We have water droplets that go down a mountain. It has to follow the cracks of the mountain.
Like to develop like LTP or maybe like different parts of the brain?
So it's the mind. The mind is your identity.
Oh.
Okay, and that's fine. That's why I will be giving this presentation. So if we can go one more slide. I guess we'll stay with this. We'll use it.
All right.
So it's the mind. The mind is the thing guiding the brain. By making good choices inside your mind, you're guiding the growth of your brain. By making bad choices, you guide the growth of your brain towards a bad direction. In fact, in scans, MRI scans, EEGs, you can see that the structures of the brain differ over time based upon decisions you make. So this is something called DTI connectivity. It's a way to measure and analyze the brain. But look at this. The point is to look at the colors in the picture. You gotta see it, right? This is the brain, branching, twisting like a tree, right? The branching, the arteries, that's the brain. And the brain flows and it sways. Okay, so even though the brain is not wrapping around a fence like a tree or a canyon, the mind is influencing the development of these fibers. Look at the fibers inside this brain. Okay? So we all learned about neuroplasticity in this AP Psych class, correct?
Yep.
Neuroplasticity, right? Your brain can change. Good. Awesome. How?
I mean, well, your brain can like change different connections in like your brain, different stuff with neurons. I think neurogenesis, right, can generate new neurons, and then it can also get rid of old ones. And I think I know, like, if you have anxiety and stuff, like, it can change, like, you can have inhibitions or something, like, with your frontal lobe, like, it can, like, literally change the shape of your brain.
And behaviors
I told you this class is good.
Behaviors too, because like the more you practice something, like LTP is what basically makes us conscious, connect, and that's why like when you struggle with something first and you master it, it's because you're repeating the action, and the brain is just forced to change because of construction work.
Oh, yeah, like, I know what you're talking about.
What is this amazing class?
With
Oh
LTP,
my gosh.
too.
Good
job, Mr. Torres.
Doesn't
Oh,
it
awesome.
make it like easier by like LTP, like with the amount of serotonin and stuff, it makes it easier for the signal to travel across the synapse, which makes it easier for you to like memory and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Good. So there are many ways in which the brain can change. On a molecular level, on a systems level, and a subcellular level. There are many ways in which we can look at different parts of the brain and say, this is how this changes, this is how that changes. But these areas on a systems level can be broken down to 4 main categories, which I will be talking about today. And I'm going to be talking about the 4th category, which is the most important category. Okay, I'll tell you why, right? But let's get to the first one, homologous area adaptation. So when you have degeneration in one area of the brain, what ends up happening is region A gets transferred to an equal region to region B of the brain. This is broken, all right, then I'll just achieve the same task here. Easy peasy. That's the first type of neuroplasticity. And then we have the second part. And this is what I believe you guys learned in class, which is sometimes we have patients where both regions of the brains are disconnected or they're unable to connect with each other. And what ends up happening is that the brain becomes integrated onto different regions outside of the normal traditional hemisphere, or even on the same similar on the homologous hemisphere. So for example, there are patients where you go look at the visual cortex. I'm looking at the visual cortex, and you stimulate it and you kind of see it move and activate it through scans. And you see it's correlated with hand movement. You're like, this is the visual cortex, right? Why is hands associated with this? It's because they have integration of different areas of the brain, not traditional to normal brain development. And this is something called cross-modal assignment. And then we have the next one. This is a fun one, and we're going to have an activity for this one. So this is something called compensatory masquerade. This is when you have a region of the brain, and the region of the brain achieves a function. But then we have subregions. So if I have a big circle like this, circle A, then I have subcircle A, mini circles inside the big circle, right? So the big circle, even though if one part is broken, we can still achieve the regions in the subparts. So for example, when you guys walk to class today, you guys walk to class based upon movement, right? Vision, like seeing where I have the smell, right? Listening, where's Mr. Tarakia, right? You guys see it until you finally arrive to class. So you guys use many senses. All right, so we'll try it. Everybody come here and close your eyes. Come and put your hand on the table. We did this earlier today. Everybody put your hand on the table like that. Everybody close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Sensory, one sense lost. Now go back to your desk.
Keep your eyes closed.
Keep your eyes closed. Wow.
Maps in your mind.
Wow, look at that. So here, you guys all did it. So this is something called compensatory masquerade, which is even though you have the region A, sub-region is broken or no eyes, you can still achieve the same task with other region, right? Cool. These are important. I'll talk about them more. Let me have the last region. This is the most important one. And I want you guys to click with this one. I know you guys will. So this is something called map expansion. Super, super simple. Which is you have a region and it expands, just gets bigger. It invades another region. Why do you guys think this is important? Why is this the most important one out of the other ones?
I know because sometimes if you have an inhibition in one area, like let's say, I don't know, you have trouble with eyesight in one eye, like then you could have, or no, if you're blind or something like that, like you can have other parts of your brain take over the part that is associated with the visual cortex, so that you can have enhanced cognitive functioning for other parts of your brain, so like auditory, frontal, all that stuff.
So this is good, that's right. The region, when it invades other region, what happens is, because it's larger, its ability to integrate with other regions also becomes higher, also becomes larger. If you're very, very good at neuroscience, or very, very good at math, or let's say very, very good at AP psychology, you're going to look at the world from the lens of AP psych. Everything, because that region is so large. So anytime you integrate a concept inside your brain, it's going to integrate back to the AP psych knowledge, right? Or maybe athletes. Even when I was in high school, what ended up happening is these athletes playing football, super dexterous, they would sit in class and they would fiddle their pens around their fingers in such complex ways. And you may think, well, okay, well, why is this connected? Because their ability, their kinetics, and their tactile senses are so high that they're able to kind of integrate that concept even into the subtlest of things. Okay? So map expansion is the most important one because when you have a large region, all the other types of neuroplasticity also comes higher. Okay? The probability of those is higher if the region is large. All right? Good. Good? First part of the presentation done. So let's talk about the next part, which is that the brain evolves on S-curves. It evolves through phase transitions, through stability points. Okay? And this is something that has been going on through all of our lives. It will be going on through our life forever. Forever, forever. All right? When you're in elementary school, your brain was in this relaxed state, fun, everything's exciting, it's all recess, right? And then when you got to high school, this is very different. Not all recess, you got to be more disciplined, you got to be more steady. When you get to university, college, it'll be much more serious. Okay, much more responsibilities financially, you got to pay for things. Okay, so these curves signify how you evolve in time and how the brain evolves. When a brain achieves a specific state, it stays in that state, you got to evolve from that state. And let's go a little bit deeper. Let's explain it deeper what that means. So who here plays an instrument? Instrument. when you first started to learn to play the instrument or play sport, you were learning all the details. What's the note? How do I hold my fingers on the violin? Right? How do I throw the football? How do I kick the soccer balls? That or like that? How do I, right? And then all of a sudden, your brain evolved, transitioned to a new stability point. You stop thinking about that. You just pick up the instrument and play, right? I don't think about the notes. The next transition point where you're just playing songs left and right, you can sight read, you can lead an entire concert, go to the football field and play the soccer, do the soccer games without any thought, all right? Now, it's up to you guys to build these S-curves for yourself. Build that instinct, that intuition for yourself. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to be in the university or past university where you're going to look back and what you saw and learned in university will guide how you see things later in life. Okay, it's the instinct, it's the S-curve. Build the stability, reach a new stability point. Mr. Torres? Yep. Good, and this is the visual analog of what I'm trying to say. This is a type of way to talk about the brain, connectivity analysis. So when you're younger, everything, I'll be more specific. As you grow older, your ability to form networks becomes better, better, and better. Okay? So how you build your brain today and in high school and in university will set the stage of the connectivity that you'll have later in life. Okay? And I did not know this when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was just like casual. You know, 20 years old is never gonna come. Never gonna be 20. It's so far away. And then you're 20. And it's like 24, now you're 24, I'm thinking about my 40s now. It's like, why am I thinking so? Build your brain, build the connectivity. The connectivity that you have today will be the point that you start at later. You'll be starting at this point later in life. All right? Good? Awesome? All right. Next part of the presentation. We all have a brain, easy, right? We know the brain, the lobes and the neurons and all that stuff. What is the mind?
The mind is like the intangible that comes from the brain, basically.
It's like your cognitive aspects, like your thoughts, the way they act.
Where is the mind?
I don't think we can truly know because
In the brain, I suppose. That's what I would think, because if you really think about it, all of our thoughts are just neurological connections in our brain.
So, correct. It's hard to touch, hear, and see the mind, right? So this is what I'm trying to, let's go into the next slide. Where is Stumpy's mind? Stumpy's a tree, it's growing. We know the tree evolves like, the brain is a tree, right? We learned the brain is a tree. Okay, mind's in here for us. Where is the mind of the tree? Where is it?
The sun.
What did you say?
The center.
You said the sunlight?
No, the center.
Oh, the center.
The roots, perhaps? I don't know.
maybe like
The
yeah, the
leaves.
stem.
Okay, I'll show you, Bridget. Close your eyes.
Wait.
Let's go to the next slide. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes. This is the mind. I have an inside, okay? I am alive. I exist. I have a conscience. Okay, open your eyes. Now there's 2 parts of reality. There's an inside part of reality, and there's an outside. And so right now, with traditional science and physics, we describe what we see. I see this, I see that, right?
Like I think before I am.
And then we have the I don't see. Where's my mind? Is it there? I don't see it. It's in there, right? How can we describe mind through physics? How can we study mind through science, right? Your mind is guided by your identity, by your I am. Think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I think. So, something very important, and please take this concept. It's a very simple, easy concept, but apply it. It's not about knowing it, it's about doing it again and again and again, right? Who here wants to study medicine when they get to college? Or neuroscience and psych? I know this, I've heard stories of this guy, right? So today, are you a neurologist? Are you a neurologist today?
Sure. Yeah. Therefore I think therefore I am.
You know what?
He did. I don't, respectfully, Ethan, I think you need a few more qualifications.
So, that's the right answer. He is. So yes, that's who is here as a soccer player today? Oh, we're all
Really?
good. So today we're not necessarily the soccer player playing at the World Olympics, right? But inside our mind, we operate and we think and we make decisions and we kick the ball if as though we are, right? Even though I'm not a neurologist today, I'm looking at the world. I'm looking at them as patients. I'm looking at them, seeing how we can help their diagnosis, seeing what medications that they need. I'm thinking about that today. I'm not a neurologist. I don't have that. I am, but everything I do is built around that I am. That's my fence, right?
So
That
are
I
you saying-
am is my fence.
Oh,
Are you saying that we think before we even reach the S curve? Like we basically like have a. Are you saying we have a predisposer for the S curve in your mind?
he's saying like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, okay.
So we define the S curve, okay? And as you continually define the S curve, that S curve is the thing that's going to guide you in your life. So when Kobe Bryant, when he was in elementary school, middle school, he would say to himself, I'm the greatest basketball player on the planet. And so if I'm the greatest basketball player on the planet, I need to practice 3 times a day, eat healthy, I need to be so far ahead, right? And he would do that. I am. Middle school. I am. High school. I am. To the point where recruiters came over to his high school, NBA recruiters, and they said, you need to go to the league. We don't even need you on the college to play college. You can play basketball in the league immediately. Okay? But the I am was persistent. Even with his I am, people say, you're not the greatest basketball player. He's like, it's my curve. It's not your curve. I know what I'm going to do. Okay, you can say whatever you want. I am a neurologist. I am a surgeon. I am a healthcare executive. I have my own hospital today, right? Now he doesn't have. We don't have the pathway inside the mind. You're right. We do. That's right. That's correct. All right, and we can do this with everything. I'm healthy. I'm an athlete, state champion. I'm an Olympic. I'm operating on that level. I am on that level. Even if I don't see it in front of me, in my mind, it's all I'm operating upon. All right. Good, awesome. Let's go back to Stumpy the tree. Stumpy the tree, right? Where is his mind? Okay, we know our minds in here. We can talk about it. Where is Stumpy the tree's mind? The latest theory.
Sense of being.
Where's his? Yes, sense of being.
DNA.
And so, the latest theories on neuroscience about where the mind is through a framework called free energy minimalization. So you guys heard of this E equals MC Einstein stuff?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I just heard the equation, but I didn't understand it. Just E equals MC squared, just a constant thing that came up.
Energy is mass times speed of light squared.
And so what we needed to know was how do we picture that? Okay, what is the picture of this? I want to see it. What is this? I want to see that. And so this is the picture of E equals MC squared. Okay, you have E, which is an electromagnetic field everywhere. See the other side of the room? You guys see that? Same E. You guys see that trees out there in the stadium, past the stadium? The same E. The E stretches all the way in space. Okay, and when I'm dancing here, I'm changing the E over there. Changing the ripples of E over there. This is E, and we have M, mass or matter coming out of E. Okay, this is M. M, hair, brain, M, book, M. Everything you touch is M. Okay, the E stretches everywhere. All right. Furthermore, what's more important is that even though we have 2 M's here, 2 M's separate from each other, right? The E is connected to us. We have an E extending between us. All right? The E stretches through space and it stretches through time. Okay? It stretches through space and it stretches through time. And so this is the essence of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity says all the cells and the synaptic connections of the neurotransmitters inside the brain, they're changing, they're moving, they're flowing like a branch on a tree. And the way that they change and they move and they flow on the branch like a tree is because we change the E. Our minds change the E, and when we change the E, we change the M's dancing on top of the E. Okay? Does this make sense?
So like the brain grows or shrinks basically, mass basically. Right?
Map the expansion, and that's the type of neuroplasticity, the map expansion. Yes. Something very important too is, as I'm thinking and I'm changing my mind and my concepts, and I'm an Olympic champion and all that, I'm also changing the E 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and 3 years from now. That E 3 years from now, I'm deforming that E. I'm deforming that plane. I'm changing the shape of that plane to guide the movement of my M. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So that's the important part. The brain is here. I can touch the brain. We can do measurements on the brain all day. All right? But the E, the mind stretches all the way out. I can see the mind. I can see myself 10 years from now. See myself 10 years ago. And when I define the concepts of mind, I change the shape of my brain. Change the neuroplasticity. Change the shape of my brain. One other important thing, I just want to say this real quick. This applies for things in the past too. Things that happened 2 years ago. Let's say 2 years ago we failed the test. Bad test. Or we did something we didn't want to do. And we're like, oh, it haunts me. It haunts me. I don't like that I failed that test. It's creeping up on me, right? With this, neuroplasticity tells us we can look at that past test inside our mind and we can say, instead of saying I'm a failure because of this test, and it builds that bad connection, I'm a failure, you can see lower gray matter, lower white matter connectivity in the region associated with confidence, right? We can change the structure of the brain by saying, look at the test. You failed it. Well, that's because you're learning. You failed this test so it can teach you to be more disciplined. This test taught you that you need to study harder and you can work harder. All right? And we're able to visualize that. There are two types of ways to look at the same thing. I had an orange earlier. I have an orange here. So, look at this. I'm going to eat this later. So what is this? Right? If Dr. Torres' class today says this is an apple, and it's our secret, and we say apple, 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 apple. Every time we see an orange, we actually say apple. What does this become? Apple. It becomes an apple. It becomes an apple. Okay? This is something very important. Your mind defines reality. And then when your mind defines reality, you guide and change and shape your reality. All right? When I look at the bad test 3 years ago and I say, I'm a failure, I'm never going to do anything. You defined that. You created that, and we can see it in your brain. We can see those smaller areas in your brain. But if you have a bad test, you look at that, this is actually a positive. I'm glad I failed that, so it can teach me to be more successful, so it can teach me to be more disciplined and study harder. And this is for every event, every decision you've ever made. It's the same thing, forward and backward in time. And you're guiding the structure of your brain. All right? So that is the mind of Stumpy, the electromagnetic field. It's behind the electromagnetic field. And there's more physics to it. But that's the concept, okay? Awesome. So let's have our 3 key points. Everybody together, right? Number 1.
Our brains are trees.
Easy peasy. 2.
Neuroplasticity transitions as curves.
And you guys understand that? Once you reach one point, you can guide yourself onto next points, next points, next points. All right? Build the roots today.
Mind changes free energy forward and backward in time.
This is, yes, this is really important. That's the essence of neuroplasticity. The reason why I can change the cellular structures inside my brain is because those M's, that matter, is on top of E. And when I change the E, when I minimize and guide the E, I'm changing the M's inside the brain. All right? So, next slide, and we'll take a survey now, a fun survey. And it's like a test, but it's a fun. Go to youthemind.com. You can do this on your phone if you like. And then there's an About Us tab. If you guys go to the About Us tab, then all the way on the bottom, it reads something called Feedback Survey. Okay?